I do want to ask a little bit, and we can get into it now, or we can get into it a little later. I know we still have one more game to talk about, but we had a couple topics that we had brought up a long time ago, and now we're starting to get a little bit more of like some bigger sample sizes to kind of revisit some of these topics. So one of the biggest things that we talked about before this channel was even a thing, we were just sitting in somebody's kitchen or whatever, was the idea of adding LA to like the bubble play, right? And trying to be successful with the people that we had, and build off of the successful things we did when we were in the bubble, right? Well, I'll leave it here. So we've had some games now to see LA back. It took a little bit to get to this point because he wasn't with us at the beginning of the year. And to be honest, it might still be a little bit too early to really put the nail in the hammer on like where you officially stand. But like, we've seen some instances of him being pretty successful and having good shooting nights, both from the outside and from the inside. And then obviously we've had some nights where rebounds are pretty low, scoring is pretty low, and he just feels a little bit slow out there, or it just feels like it's not fitting at the moment, right? So I don't know. Just wanted to bring up that kind of set that same question, like what are some of the things that you've been seeing, and where do you stand on LA's fit with how we're trying to run our offense?
So, as much as it kind of contradicts itself, like for me, like it's crazy because I think the games that LA didn't play with us, we lost, right? But I still don't think that adding LA to the bubble Spurs offense works at all. Like I feel like his speed is still just a little too slow for it, for us to be able to work around it. And yeah, like I said, when we don't have LA on the court, it's because like we're losing. But I think that if um because I kind of think back to the bubble Spurs, right? We didn't have Devin, right? We didn't have LA. I'm trying to think of like who we had, who we didn't have, right? We had Derek on the team, which adds a lot more speed and polish and like stableness to the team all around.
Mhm.
Um and then like Trey was also playing no, Trey wasn't playing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It,
It
it, wa-
was
it
it
was
was
it
more
was mainly Jakob being our five with a bunch of smalls, and then Rudy. It was like Rudy and Yak
right,
basically.
Rudy playing that five and I think somewhat we can kind of run back to it, but I don't want to kind of like throw him under the rug and all this kind of stuff about like LA, but like if we traded LA for another big that could at least run with us a little bit more and um and be able to just kind of like he doesn't have to score because we have scorers on our team. He just has to be able to be a big body out there, play some defense, get some boards, kind of just like what Jakob does, and just be like another body out there. I think we could rerun what we did with the bubble Spurs, and maybe the pace just slows down a little bit more just because we have another big out there
Mhm.
instead of having LA.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely see that. And you are correct. Like, okay, we lost the games that he was out for, and we missed him sorely when he was out. And so he is important, and he's still very capable. And the thing that I love the most about like him in our offense is when we're able to do like the pick and pops, because
Hmm.
I mean that is a part of his game that he's always had, but it's still viable in my opinion in today's NBA. Whereas
Yeah.
a lot of people are just ready to get away from the post in general, which okay. So like I guess that's where I stand, is like I'm still not 100% like willing to depart from that. It just has a general philosophy of like putting the ball down low and finding mismatches from that point of the court. And so from that point of view of like, I still think we need that. That's why I still think it's okay for us to have LA, or that I think like I guess I'm trying to say is that's where I still think that he could be beneficial and successful on our team, is we do still need all of the things that he can do well. We need somebody who can score down low. We need somebody who has touch at the mid range, and he's still pretty streaky, and so is DeMar in terms of their outside shooting. But kudos to them to trying to spread it out. But it's apparent that that's still like the weakest part of our offense is like pulling him out and trying to see what that looks like. But I agree with all the things that you're saying about like defense. Like there's just been a lot of times where you can just see that we look a little bit out of position, and like there's not going to be a chance for us to recover. I mean, I know everybody's laughing at LA, and it's happened a couple times this year where he's kind of like taking a contest on the 3-point
Oh,
shooter from like the paint. You're like,
oh
wow,
my goodness, man.
it's like just let him shoot. Like, what? You don't have to jump. You
Yeah,
don't.
that's hilarious.
So
um,
I understand it from that point of view. And maybe maybe I'm just a little blinded because I know that without him, even if we had an athletic big man that fit more to like that run and like you're saying can keep up a little bit more, I still think we would end up losing more games overall. And maybe that's what is kind of holding me back from it. Is like I know that we stand a much better chance to win with LaMarcus Aldridge, and I'm not really ready to like just go ahead and say like, yeah, it's okay if we like lose the next 15 games like that.
yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
really sit right with me just yet. So maybe that's where my head's at.
No, yeah, I understand that, and like for me, obviously I've been the one out of all of us on the podcast that's like more okay with losing than winning in some cases, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but like, if honestly you're saying that you think we'd lose, but I think the experiment would be a win. That like if we traded LA for some center, I'm very big on Miles Turner. I love Miles Turner, and I don't know how we would make the trade or anything like that because at the moment he's been playing out of his mind, and it looks like he's happy in Indiana. So like it's not like he's going to be requesting a trade anytime soon. But
Yeah.
if for some magical circumstances happen and we were able to just get just to trade LaMarcus for Miles Turner, I feel like the experiment would be a win overall because one, it opens up shots. Yes, let's just say like I don't know how many shots per game Miles Turner is averaging, but like obviously some of the shots that LA took are going to be going to him, right? But those like extra 6, maybe 7 shots that LA was taking, those are going to our young guys, because our pace is going a little bit more,
Yeah.
and we're getting more shots because our pace is higher, right?
Yeah.
We're getting more shots because our pace is higher, and our young guys are going to be able to kind of do a more run and gun style, right? Just get out there, use your legs and find some open shots,
Yeah.
I think that the experiment as a whole would be a win even if we lose games because
I agree. I agree.
if
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for the I'm not ready for taking not the intentional loss, but putting knowing that the stuff that you put out there is not going to be enough for a lot of the nights because you're hoping that it's going to be enough later on down the road. You know what I mean? But then to kind of go along with your argument, and maybe like you're talking in this scenario, you swapped out like Miles Turner, which is another like pretty big name. And maybe in my head, I'm thinking like when we lose LA, it's going to be for like replacing him with like a young big man who's going to be not ready yet. You know what I mean? Like in my head,
oh
maybe
yeah,
that. You know what I mean? So maybe that's where I'm going. And then also like because based off of what I've seen so far, like we said earlier, like DeMar DeRozan missed a game, came back and was kind of out of rhythm for most of the game, and they still give the ball to him to win the game. So it's like LA and DeMar are still our go-tos. When DeMar was out, we were giving it to LA to win the game. You know what I mean? So my thing is like knowing that it's okay if we lose LA, like are we like we haven't shown yet that we're ready to give the ball to Lonnie to win the game, to give the ball to DJ to win the game, or you know what I mean? Maybe Derek White. You know what I mean? I would say that you could probably look in the clips from last year or even previous and find moments of Derek White having the ball in his hands when it was the time. But I don't know. It's like I haven't seen the Spurs really give the reins over to the young guys 100% yet. So I'm like, okay, we're showing that we still are relying on our vets. So maybe I'm just a victim of that, like kind of seeing it from the Spurs front office point of view and like being willing to just go along with what they're doing, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I guess for me, if because I love the fact that I talked about it before, but like I love the fact that we have like a cushion with the vets, but I need to see us rely on our young guys more.
yeah,
When eventually all four of those vets are not going to be on the Spurs. You know, eventually, like it could be as early as next year where all four of them could be
yeah, we could
gone.
have, yeah,
All four of them could be gone as early as next year. But you know, uh, if like if we don't rely on them sooner than later, and then next year, um, we don't have any of those four people. Maybe we do pick up a vet or two, but that vet isn't going to be our leader. He's
yeah,
going to come in and
yeah.
just
The, the,
be
the the roles are definitely going to change here in the next couple years. You know what I mean?
exactly. And so
Yeah,
it's like, well, who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the one that takes charge at the end of the game? We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it come from Derek. I mean, well, we have seen it come from Derek. Sorry, we haven't seen it come from DJ yet. We haven't seen it come from Keldon yet. But not to discredit them, just the fact that we haven't given them the chances.
yeah, yeah.
We
We're we're
haven't
we're, we're still relying on Demar and LA as our
exactly.
close.
And even though Lonnie had his game in Houston, even though Derek's had his couple games, like those games were because they had the hot hand at the time, especially for Lonnie.
Yeah,
Because they had the hot hand, and it was like the flame hand, the one that
yeah.
Pop really
And
saw it and
and,
was
e-
like,
and
okay, we're
even
gonna give you the
well,
ball.
Well, and even that Houston game that you're talking about, like Lonnie, Lonnie was talking about it this year, and even said like that play was drawn up for this person. Like shout out to Patty Mills for like Patty's the one who like sought me out and said, "Here, take the shot." You know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah,
here, like gave the ball to him. So
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like,
So it's like,
it's still not in our coaching. It's still not in our coaching philosophy to like to defer to those guys. But I'd be interested as like a I always love to think about it from the coaching standpoint. I would be interested to see if they have a projection of their pace over the course of the year, how they want to slowly start to shift their responsibilities over. I would imagine that
and
they have a plan for that. You know what I mean?
if they do that, then yeah, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I cannot get mad if I end up seeing, DeMar's taking his 25 shots now, but towards the end of the season we are seeing DeMar take 18, 17, and we're seeing Lonnie take 15, 16 instead of his 12, 11. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
agree.
happy.
I agree. All right. Well, the good thing is, as we approach February or like the trading deadline, we'll have another opportunity to kind of reassess LA because LA. Not to pick on him, but he's just one of those people in terms of his position and his contract and his time with us is all kind of coming to a head and to a point where we can be talking about it again. Like, do we really think that he fits? Because after February, he's just going to either be with us for the rest of the year or maybe not. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
we'll be able to come back to that. But let's